What is up, guys? Welcome to today's video on the Rad Potential YouTube channel. Before we get into cleaning some of these rotary parts and teaching you guys the spots on these engines that you guys need to clean, especially for this JDM-FD engine we're rebuilding, or conglomeration of getting to this point and building an engine for the car so we can take it to Deal's Gap, I wanted to run you through a few things that we have going on the channel otherwise that you can look forward to in the next couple weeks. So if you're interested in all that stuff and rotary engines and what's coming next, definitely subscribe to the channel. Check out the other videos, and I'm stoked to be back. So I took a little vacation last week, went mountain bike riding out in Arizona with Justin. We did Phoenix, Sedona, super great, just to kind of step away from filming and doing this, that, and the other, and come back and ready, fresh to kick some butt on getting these cars done. So the red rotary truck, I still got to build an exhaust for it, but it runs. It's good. Ready to rip. The black FD, the JDM FD, which is right here. It's a little dark under here. While I was gone, parts came in. So we have a fresh set of iRotary Apex seals for this thing. We got a fresh soft seal kit for this thing. We've got, and hopefully I can get them installed. I may have to have Calvin do it for me because I'm not like a body tech, but some door trim in that big box right there. The Jeep, which I've been working on, just not on camera, is ready to become my daily driver, and I'm stoked for that. The RX-8 and my rotary truck are doing their thing, and we're going to roll in here. Just a pretty short update to start cleaning some engine parts. So I'll go over a few things, face value here, and I'll show you cleaning them, and then hopefully y'all learn some stuff. So this is the rotary engine lottery engine, which it was running, and I kind of knew it would be okay on the inside because it came out of the car, but you still never know. Engine's good. Go watch that teardown video. It was super quick. Ready to rip on this thing. I went ahead and pulled some of these coolant seals out. Main things you need to look at when you're cleaning one of these engines, okay? I like to use Purple Power, some sort of degreaser, get everything clean, pressure wash it all off, blow everything out with air as best you can. Try to get as much of this crap out of here. There's still some goop in the coolant passages, which is not healthy. Once you get all that stuff cleaned, we're going to get in here with a screwdriver. I have a flat blade that I ground the end of it to be just narrower than the coolant grooves. The inner one is actually wider than the outer one. So I have a standard screwdriver that I bought that actually fits this. Then I had to make one to fit this. And what we need to do is clean out all this crud that gets stuck up in the edges. You can see the stuff coming out of there. So we need to get all that crap out of there so that your new coolant seals fit perfectly. And then I'll show you guys what I do to clean all the rest of the parts. So we'll kind of go through cleaning these rotors up, how to make sure that they're all crispy perfect. And then we'll also go through cleaning the inner engine parts, which are not these. And they're actually these. These are the parts from that engine. So we're going to go ahead and go through like what I do to clean this stuff up. And don't be intimidated by cleaning your engines, okay? It's something that, yes, having a clean room, having a place that's, dedicated to it is great. But in reality, as long as you take your time, get all the gasket surfaces clean, keep the crap out of them, and wipe down everything right before you start assembly, and don't assemble it in the middle of your dusty driveway, you'll probably be okay. So let's get to it. Let's dive into the dirty details, literally, and get these things cleaned up, ready to go back together ASAP. The other big thing, before we jump into this, Little Stu is coming back this weekend. The blue first gen we've been working on, complete basic restoration, so we're not like nut and bolt rotisserie restoring it like the rally car, but basically that, full interior out, full respray, all back together. So get fired up because those videos are going to start happening really fast because that car needs to get done. This car just needs to get done, but maybe get out of my way. And then the FD needs to get done before Tail of the Dragon. And ideally, I have some time in the next month to work a little bit on the RX-8 because it is ready to go, but we'd like it to be better. So let's get to the live action. Whoa, it's not even clean after all that work. Actually, I'm just teasing you guys. From here down's clean. But I wanted to walk you through my process, okay? And then I'll wipe it off. We'll show you the nice and pretty rotor all spiffed up, and then I'll show you an iron that we're working on. Okay, on your rotor, if you're new to rotary engines, don't know anything about them, this, that, and the other, you have seals that go in these grooves. Side seals, you have seals that go in these corners, corner seals. You have seals that go in these circles, oil control rings. If those seals can't move up and down, you're going to have problems. Got to make sure that stuff's clean. This rotor, surprisingly, wasn't in that bad of shape. Didn't have that much carbon on it. Really wasn't terrible. You could tell it had been in an engine that had been owned by an enthusiast, right? Not some lady with an automatic cruising her RX-8 around at 2200 RPM all day. No carbon. In order to get these grooves clean, I have kind of a combination of chemicals that I like to use. I've been trying some new stuff, trying some old stuff. Some stuff's better than others. I'll kind of walk you through what I use, what I like. First things first, penetrant. I've got some renewable lubricants penetrant here. It's good stuff. Coat the thing down in that. What this does is this helps to break up the carbon, gives you a good, nice, lubricated surface so that you don't tear it up, okay? What you don't want to do is like hit this thing like you're decking a cylinder head, right? You just want to clean it. You don't want to destroy it. I like to use these nice little red burgundy little Scotch-Brite pads. This is like 350 grit or something like that. I cut them into really small squares so that way when they get super saturated, I don't waste the whole pad. That's key. Otherwise, you go through a lot of these. You take these things and just lightly rub it in. Rub the penetrant in. You're going to see in the rotor, I mean, literally almost instantly, just doing that. Look at how much cleaner that spot is. That spot, no Scotch-Brite. You're going to see in the rotor the machine marks, okay, where they've cast these, then machined them flat, machined all this stuff in. It's easier to kind of cross the machine marks, i.e. go perpendicular to the machine marks. You would think that'd be counterintuitive, but that really helps get the carbon up out of them. If you go parallel to them, it doesn't really, you just scrape a bunch of carbon and it, I don't know, go back and forth. So clean the carbon off. If there's carbon that's stuck on here and really hard to get off, what you're going to want is a little razor blade. Mine's really dirty, you can see from cleaning the rest of the rotor. And just take this thing, any of that excess carbon, lightly scrape it away. Hit it with the Scotch-Brite. Boom. Wipe it off with a clean rag. You can see I didn't get all of it, but it takes it off. And you're sitting here like, man, this video is only 15 minutes long, probably less. How in the heck did he get all that stuff clean that long? Well, it takes a lot longer than I'm going to show you in a video. Okay, you're going to spend, I usually spend a solid 30 minutes on every rotor. 30 to 40 minutes hand cleaning them like this. Then it gets coated again in penetrant, blown out with air really well. So hit all these seal grooves with air, clean all that. But now you're like, how in the heck do you get your Scotch-Brite down in the seals? This is the next bit. This is huge. If you're rebuilding your engine and you're going to reuse the side seals, don't use the side seal from your engine to clean the side seal groove. The best thing to use to clean one of these grooves is an old side seal. If you don't have somebody or you don't know somebody that builds all these engines or whatever, I mean, you can hop on Mazdatrix or something and buy a side seal, message somebody that builds engines and say, hey, can you send me some old side seals or something? Find a side seal. Screwdrivers, you don't want to mess this groove up, so don't use a screwdriver. Like if you try to get the screwdriver in here to clean this, you're just going to bend the hell out of that groove. You don't want to do that. Get an old side seal. You want to run this side seal back and forth in this groove. See all that carbon that's coming out of there? Hear how nasty it is? So all that carbon that's down in there, you need to get all that out. You don't want any of that in there. Now, here's the chemical that I found that helps to get that stuff out. This is fuel injector cleaner, B12 Chem Tool. You can get this stuff in like a gallon jug for soaking carburetors and stuff. Take a little bit of this Chem Tool. Just kind of pour it on there. You don't have to get it all in the groove. This stuff's kind of expensive. Let that sit in there for a little bit. That chem tool gets in there, cleans the carbon off your injectors, cleans carbon out of these rotors. You let that sit there for a little bit, help break down that carbon. Don't let it all evaporate though. It is very, very petroleum, ethanol, methanol, whatever. It evaporates fast, like brake cleaner. Then get in there with your side seal. Clean that out. Now you can hear, just with that little bit of chem tool, how much smoother that is. Way cleaner. Also be careful how you hold your side seal. If you break it, which you probably will, don't hold it like this into your finger, because it'll catch on something and you're going to stab yourself. Ask me how I know. Once you get those cleaned out, you got to clean out your corner seal grooves. I tend to use just my straight screwdriver I've ground to fit the coolant grooves, or just another screwdriver. Get in there with that chem tool, scrape those corners out. Make sure you get the edges of this thing really clean. You want to get all the crap out of there. They do sell a tool that fits in here to make sure you have it cleaned. I don't have that tool. I clean them by hand. You use a toothpick or Q-tip or whatever. The oil control ring grooves, a little more of a pain in the butt. I like to take a piece of this stuff, Scotch-Brite, cut it down real small because you're going to destroy it. Maybe like a 1/2 inch by 1 inch. Squeeze it, put it in there, put that chem tool in there, run that thing around side to side. Helps brush out all that stuff. I have tried to use some brushes in the past, and I'm just not too keen on the whole brush deal. If you have like a parts washer with a nice big brush, get in there and use the parts washer, clean this stuff out. But since we're more of a home style, do it in your small garage, like we do stuff in this small garage, this is how you can do it at home without a fancy parts washer. Once you've got all that done and it's ready to rip, when you flip your rotor over and you look at it, it'll start to look like this. This is a clean rotor, isn't it? How about that? Now, when I get in there with air and blow all this stuff out, I'll get all the extra crap that I've effectively cleaned off the dirty side and it's got on my clean side. I'll get that stuff back off. We'll do one final clean. The last bit, apex seal grooves. If you don't have an old apex seal laying around, get one. It's nice to have. Take an old apex seal. You want to make sure that you get all the carbon out of these. See, these are a little gritty. I usually do these last just because they're kind of on the edges. I get a bunch of crap in there. They tend to collect a bunch of dirt. Make sure that apex seal fits all the way through there. Also, you want to make sure before you reuse these rotors that an apex seal fits in here long ways like this and can move up and down. Sometimes these can get nicked or whatever, especially when you're moving them around. Be careful. Don't drop your rotors. That's basically that. Once you get these cleaned, you're ready to move on to the next one, and we're going to move on to an iron. Film my thumbnail. I'm just going to insert this clip wherever it decides to fit best. If you clean your rotors really well like this and wipe them down, if you like wipe everything down with brake cleaner or something that removes the grease and oil from these, you do need to spray this stuff, the bare metal faces, okay? So your rotor here and here, irons here and here, with something to prevent flash rust. So hit them with some WD-40, hit them with put some penetrating oil on a rag and wipe them down, because they will rust overnight and you will think you have to redo everything, and I would honestly redo everything if it does flash rust on you. So make sure you get these things oiled down, because this will get rusty and crusty real fast. We're back with an iron this time. Look at how crusty this thing is. This is a center iron. It's very dirty. It's also been ported a little bit, just like a little baby street port, which I'm stoked for because it means I don't have to do it. You can see we've got some leftover high-tack, High-Omar, some sort of sealant in here. I've already taken the liberty to pull the old coolant seals out. If you've never seen rotary engine coolant seals, these are what they look like. So there's orange ones and then black ones for the outers. Just want to scrape them out. Sometimes they come apart. If you got 2 rows of black ones, you got different sets. There's all sorts of aftermarket craziness going on for these sort of soft seals. Some are better than others. Some last better than others. It is what it is. You need to get all the crusty crap out of these grooves. Now, remember at the beginning of the video I mentioned I have a screwdriver. But you should too. This screwdriver, I ground the end of it down. It's a nice little handle, fits perfectly in the groove, okay? You want to take the screwdriver and really scrape. See all the stuff that comes out of that edge? You gotta get the stuff out of the edges, okay, like right here, that chunk. You need to get all this stuff out of here. See all that coming out? All that stuff. You don't want any of this junk in your engine when you're going to go put a fresh new O-ring in there, right? So, spend all the time, get all that off. Now, you're sitting here and you're like, wow, this thing's got some discoloration. Will that stuff come off too? Well, yes. Yes, it will. Take you some brake clean just to wipe off the oil. I'm going to use an already dirty rag. I haven't cleaned this side yet. You'll see you get all the oily crap off. Looks pretty good. Similar thing to the rotors, okay? You take a small section of Scotch-Brite. You don't want to be abrasive on this surface. You don't want to pull this coating off, but you can kind of just go over this stuff pretty lightly, right? Light bits of force. Use some penetrating oil or whatever, lubricate it. And with a little bit of effort, you'll get all that stuff off, okay? That's just what I did. In the 6 seconds of you sitting there watching, probably longer, look, discoloration starts to go away. It starts to look nicer. This is also a good way to get this carbon out of here if you do or can find out if you have step wear. So, things to check. Coolant groove's clean. Clean the face of this. You don't really have to clean it that super crazy well. On the irons as well, make sure you get any oil pan silicone stuff off. Make sure you get any silicone that people put on this off, because on FDs and FCs, these parts leak when you fill them up with oil. It'll just drain oil down here. Also on the center iron, make sure that you pop your injector diffusers out. If you've never seen what an injector diffuser looks like, it's this deal right here. They sit down in here. These are actually for an FC, so they won't fit in here, but they sit down in there and they spray the fuel into the ports. Make sure they're also pointed the right way. Reason to make sure you have those, though, you can literally break off the diffuser part if you have like fancy injectors. So the part on the left side of the screen there, you need these O-rings and this piece of plastic to space the injectors so they fit properly in your engine, which is perfect because we're going to flip this thing over. Well, bam, and I've got a clean side to show you. It's not even like snap your fingers movie magic. This is just regular old magic. So you can see here, there's some corrosion down in there. Not a big deal. If it's really bad, that's a big deal. But a little bit of pitting, nothing crazy. None of these edges are broken, so commonly see this like supported ridge here that holds the seal in. Those will crack. If you have an FC engine, FD engine, these seals are in the irons like this, okay? On an early 12A, early 13B, the irons are smooth and the housings have those grooves, so it's the exact same process. Get that stuff cleaned up out of there. If you saw, I used a little bit of a wire wheel, okay? I have a little wire wheel for my drill. This is a very not abrasive wire wheel, okay? Like, as in, you can pretty much go full beans on it on aluminum and it's not going to tear it up. You want a really soft one. That's going to help get the silicone and just the caked in dirt out of this. You don't want it to like actually abrase the surface, okay? You want this to be smooth. You don't want it to be anything crazy, but that little wire will help kind of scrape that out. Don't depend solely on that, all right? I like went around just to clean the crust off. But that's how you clean an iron. Housings are super easy. So easy that I don't even really need to show you that much, because I'll just walk over here and show you. Take your housing, pressure wash that deal off. Get that thing nice and clean. Take a Scotch-Brite pad, Scotch-Brite this edge, get all the junk off of it. Especially if you have an FD engine or an FC engine, the housings are smooth, makes this super easy. If you have a non-abrasive wire wheel, go ahead and do that. Same thing like we cleaned the face of the iron, you can clean the insides of these. Now, y'all are asking in the other video about resurfacing housings, and I will make a video specifically on that coming in the next bit, because I'm going to have these surfaced. I'm going to go over to Charles' house and we're going to do it. So, kind of just show you how that process works as well. But get fired up, guys. I'm amped that we're cleaning this stuff. Crazy the transformation between old and busted and the new hotness, even though they were both old and busted at the same time. And I'm stoked. If you guys are stoked, I'm stoked for the next couple weeks. Not because I have a ton of work to do in a short amount of time, but because when I have a ton of work to do, that means we get a lot of stuff done, and I'm amped for that. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you have more specific questions and you want to make sure you get an answer, hit me up on Patreon. Rad Potential. Make videos to answer people's questions on there. And would much appreciate, or your support would be much appreciated. So, thank you guys very much for watching the video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep it rad. Dog, it's been 1 week since I've seen you. You've been hanging out with me. I'm stoked. But you're just playing asleep. Not doing anything fun. Should we go ride bikes more often? Jump if yes. She doesn't like it when I take trips. Should we go ride bikes locally more often? Look up if yes. Oh, see, we should just stay here and ride. Peace.